Hello students, welcome to aimstoday online classes. This is the chemistry session. Here we are discussing about the chapter air and its constituents. In this session, we are going to see about different uses of oxygen. In the earlier session, we have seen the composition of air and even about oxygen also some points you have learnt like how it is occurring, how to prepare this oxygen gas, and what are the properties of oxygen we have seen in the earlier sessions. Now, in this session, we are going to see different uses of oxygen. Oxygen in the air is continuously used by human beings and animals for their breathing, isn't it? Yes, we do breathe continuously. We may stop watching, we may stop eating, we may stop drinking, we may stop sleeping, but we don't stop at all breathing process, isn't it? It will be continuously done. We will be inhaling air and we will take the oxygen present in that air, and remaining gases and carbon dioxide gas will be omitted out by exhaling. In this way, breathing process will be continuously done. So air is very important as being used by human beings and other animals for their breathing. And atmospheric oxygen is also being used for burning of wood and other fossil fuels. Yes, not only for breathing, the second important use of this oxygen gas is for burning purpose, for burning of wood and even other fossil fuels. So for the burning process, compulsory there should be oxygen gas. Without oxygen, fuels cannot burn. Large amount of oxygen is used in the manufacturing of iron and steel. Yes, in the chemical, in the industries, for the manufacturing of iron and steel, for producing large amount of heat energy, they burn fuels in the presence of oxygen. So a large amount of oxygen is used there for the production of this steel and iron, right? So pure oxygen is used by deep sea divers, mountaineers, aviators, and miners for their safety. Yes, not only this, even divers and mountaineers they use these oxygen cylinders because when we go to deep sea, there we cannot breathe. For breathing purpose, they carry oxygen cylinders at their backside. See here, he is carrying oxygen cylinder when going to the deep sea so that they can breathe there, they can stay for certain time down the water to say do something like searching all the things. And even mountaineers also, when we go to higher altitudes, as we climb the mountains, there the percentage of air will be decreased, the density of air will be decreased. So if we go to a certain height, there we cannot breathe also, very less amount of air will be existing. So there to survive, the mountaineers they carry oxygen cylinders with them, and even aviators who are going to the in the spaceships, they also carry oxygen cylinders with them. Okay, even the people who work in the mines, there may be some harmful gases and there may be lack of oxygen. So to be at safe side, they carry oxygen cylinders with them. So these all will come under different uses of oxygen for breathing, for combustion of fuels, and for the production of metals in the industries, and for the artificial respiration by the divers and mountaineers. Okay, not only those, in hospitals, oxygen gas is given to patients who have difficulty in breathing. Yes, the patients who are suffering in breathing, who are not able to breathe themselves. For those people, artificial breathing is supplied by the oxygen cylinder connection. Oxygen will be given to them artificially. Oxygen is supplied with the cylinders to those patients. So the oxygen used in the hospitals contains a small quantity or small percentage of either carbon dioxide or nitrogen in it to facilitate the breathing and to avoid overaction of the oxygen with some of the chemicals present in the human body. Yes, actually we say those cylinders contain pure oxygen, But in fact, the oxygen gas given for the hospital patients for breathing, that cylinder gas, oxygen cylinder contains, along with oxygen, a small quantity of either carbon dioxide or nitrogen gas will be mixed. This is just to make the patient to breathe comfortably, and not only for that, to avoid the overaction of oxygen on the chemicals present in the human body. That is why they add some other gases also along with the oxygen in those cylinders. Generally, the oxygen which is containing 5% of carbon dioxide mixed in that in those cylinders is called commonly carbogen. This carbogen will be generally given for the patients who are suffering in breathing, who are having difficulty in breathing purpose. For those this carbogen is given. Okay, there 95% will be oxygen and the remaining 5% will be carbon dioxide. Not only carbon dioxide, sometimes they may mix even nitrogen also instead of carbon dioxide. Just the addition of these two is to make the patient or the person who is breathing it convenient, and to stop this over action of oxygen with the chemicals present in the human body. Okay, oxygen is used in chemical industry for making acids and other chemical compounds also. Not only this, in preparation of so many chemical substances, oxygen gas is used. So metallic oxides are formed just by burning the metals in the presence of oxygen. And even some of the acids are also prepared from this oxygen gas only. For example, if you say sulfuric acid, how it is formed? When sulfur is burnt in the presence of oxygen, it forms its oxides like sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. These oxides, when dissolved into water, they form acids. So, in this way, acids are being formed with the help of oxygen in the laboratory. In that way, also oxygen is being used. It is used to burn fossil fuels for energy. Yes, at the starting point you told, in the second point you told, for burning of fuels and wood, oxygen gas is must. So for the production of energy in so many industries and vehicles, we are burning the fossil fuels. So for the combustion of fossil fuels, there should be compulsory oxygen gas. In the presence of oxygen only, these fuels will be burnt and produce enormous amount of energy in the form of heat and light. Those we are using for our purposes. Okay, in this way, oxygen is being used in many ways. One more, oxygen we breathe in is used to convert the digested food in our body into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. This reaction takes place in our cells and is known as respiration. Yes, at the starting point, we told in the uses of oxygen. Oxygen is being continuously used by the humans and animals for the respiration process. So, what is this actually respiration they have mentioned here? In the respiration process, the food we have taken into our body will be digested in the presence of oxygen gas. This happens. That is why when we breathe in, we take oxygen gas into our body along with other gases. So this oxygen gas will be utilized by the body for the digestion of those food items which you have taken. Suppose these food items we have taken, and when we breathe, we take oxygen gas into the body. So these two will react inside our stomach and they produce carbon dioxide, water vapor, and energy. These will be produced. This process of conversion of food we have taken into energy in the presence of oxygen is called respiration. Let us see the equation related to this. This is what happening in our body through respiration. Food taken into our body reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Okay, in this way, oxygen gas is being used in the respiration process. Next, the released carbon dioxide is taken up by plants. Green coloring matter of plants converts carbon dioxide and water vapor into carbohydrates and oxygen gas when exposed to sunlight. Yes, what we are telling in the respiration process by the human beings and animals, carbon dioxide gas is being evolved out. while exhaling. So this carbon dioxide gas will be taken by the plants. So the plants they contain, as we know, they have a green color pigment in their leaves, which is called chlorophyll. This chlorophyll will convert carbon dioxide and water and into carbohydrates, the food which is needed by the plants. So food is prepared by the plants from carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight. So this process is called photosynthesis, as we know. So here green coloring matter of plants by which this food process is happening is called chlorophyll. Okay. So see here, the carbon dioxide released by the human beings and animals is taken by the plants and it is converting into food by the help of water and sunlight in the presence of chlorophyll. So it is converting into food. This process we call it as photosynthesis. So the method of conversion of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates and oxygen in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll is called photosynthesis. This oxygen released in the above reaction goes back into air and hence oxygen cycle in the nature is maintained. Yes, from the so many thousands and thousands of years, the animals and human beings on the earth, they are taking in the oxygen gas for their respiration process. But in the atmosphere, the percentage of oxygen is being maintained 21%. So how it is happening? Even though the human beings and animals die continuously, they're consuming. This is what the reason. So animals and human beings they're taking the oxygen gas and for the respiration process they're using it and they're releasing out carbon dioxide gas. This released carbon dioxide gas is again used by plants for their food preparation by the process called photosynthesis and there they are releasing oxygen gas into the atmosphere. So in this way mutual exchange is happening. Animals are releasing carbon dioxide gas, plants are releasing oxygen gas. So the oxygen gas released by plants taken by human beings and animals and the carbon dioxide gas released by the human beings and animals is taken by plants. In this way, there is occurring oxygen cycle in the nature so that the percentage of oxygen is being maintained at 21% continuously. But nowadays we come to know so many plants are being cut in the forest. What we call deforestation is happening and more vehicles are coming and even population also is being increased. By these all what is happening, the percentage of carbon dioxide is being increased in the nature in the atmosphere because there are no sufficient number of plants for absorbing this carbon dioxide, but human beings and all producing more amount of carbon dioxide by their actions like respiration and combustion. But these many plants are not there to completely consume this carbon dioxide produced by us. So what happens? The quantity of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere gradually increases. At the same time, there is no much production of oxygen as there are less number of plants than the required. Then what happens? The oxygen gas present in the atmosphere is slowly being consumed by the animals. So the quantity of oxygen gas will be decreased gradually. Even the 0.001% change in the quantity of oxygen also may show drastic changes in the atmosphere that may cause some damage to the atmosphere. So we should be very careful. We should not cut the plants unnecessarily. We should preserve these forests. We should do afforestation as possible as much. Right? Now let us come back to this. So rusting of iron. It is also one of the actions of oxygen. If an iron sheet is left out in the moist air, it develops a brown layer of iron oxide called rust. So rust is a compound formed by the action of oxygen on the iron in the presence of water. So iron is used up in this formation of rust. So what happens? Often you too might have observed this formation of rust. If you take an iron article, either it is a needle or any screwdriver or what we can say cutting player or whatever the tools which we have at our homes, if we keep those articles outside in the house for few days. So they slowly forms a brown color layer on them. Instead of being greenish blue or some other color, they will be forming brown color layer on that. That formation of brown color layer is because of the rusting of iron. How it is happening? The iron slowly reacts with atmospheric oxygen in the presence of moisture in the atmosphere. So this moisture and oxygen both will react with the iron. Slowly they convert that iron into iron oxide. That iron oxide formed is rust. So this slowly eats the iron. It makes damage to the iron particles. They spoil the iron particles. If rust once happened, that will spoil the iron particle which we kept there. So while iron is a strong solid, rust is a powdery substance. There is a major damage which is happening to the iron particles because iron or steel is a strong solid which can be used for construction purposes, isn't it? It is being used. But what happens if these iron rods, if they are kept outside for certain time, for long time, slowly they react with the atmospheric oxygen in the presence of moisture, they get rust. But this rust is not much stronger as iron. It is a powdery substance, so it cannot withstand the strain. It cannot be used further for our construction purposes. So in this way, iron particles will be damaged because of the formation of rust on them. So if an iron sheet is left in the moist air for a long time, so much iron converts into rust that the sheet develops holes in it. Even the sheet will be damaged by the formation of holes in it because of the rust formation. Okay, in that way, rusting is a waste process and it damages all the iron particles. So, what are the conditions necessary for the rusting? If we know these conditions, what are necessary for the rusting, then we can prevent rusting. Let us see what are the conditions required for the rusting. It is interesting here to note that rusting does not happen or rusting does not form when iron is placed in air or oxygen that does not having any traces of water or water vapor, or it won't get rust in water that has no dissolved oxygen. So these two we can prove by a simple experiment. You might have seen the experiment in the earlier classes proving rusting of iron needs oxygen and water vapor. For example, if you see here, we have taken three test tubes. In the three test tubes, three iron nails are taken. Now, in one test tube, water is poured along with certain air gap and it is closed with rubber cork. One more uh, boiled test tube is taken with iron nail which is have dipped into boiled water. Boiled water means it does not contain any air in it. Now it is covered with a layer of foil so that no air will enter into this. Okay, now it is having only water in contact with the iron nail, no air. In the first test tube, air is in contact along with the water to this iron nail. In the third test tube, they have taken an iron nail. No water is taken, just air is passed into this, only dry air. So, to avoid in contact with the water vapor, to remove the complete water vapor in this test tube, to remove the to make that air dry, they have taken small pieces of anhydrous calcium chloride. Anhydrous means waterless. So this calcium chloride is having one property. It absorbs the moisture immediately available to it. So if you take small pieces of calcium chloride in it, what happens? Immediately it absorbs the complete moisture present in it into it. Now this iron nail is in contact with only dry air. Okay, did you understand these three? First iron nail is in contact with the air and moisture, both water both. Second iron nail is in contact with only water, no air. Third one, it is in contact with only dry air, no moisture in contact with it. Now, after certain time, after few days, if you observe, the iron nail kept in the test tube A will be rusted because it is in contact with both air and water. The test tubes present in the second and third, that is B and C test tubes, they do not get rust, because for the test tube, the iron nail present in the test tube B is in contact with only water but no air, and the iron nail kept in the test tube C is in contact with only air but no moisture for that. So from this experiment we can conclude that the rusting of iron is needed, both moisture and oxygen. In the presence of these two only, any iron article will get rust. So for the rusting, for the from these two we can say the conditions that are necessary for the rusting to occur are the presence of iron article and oxygen and moisture. In the presence of these two only, any iron article will be getting rust. So if you avoid these two, then we can control rusting of iron. Now we can see the prevention of rusting, or the methods which we can use for prevention of rusting. So as we have studied in the earlier experiment, in order to prevent the rusting of iron objects, the contact has to be broken between the object and the iron and the oxygen by providing certain protective coating on the objects. Okay, if you coat these iron particles with something, then the contact of iron and oxygen and moisture with iron will be stopped, so that the rusting can be prevented. Now some commonly used methods for controlling rusting, let us see here. Out of those, simple one is painting. Cars, scooters and various other objects are painted to protect them from rusting and to make them look good. Suppose iron grills, cars, and scooters and other vehicles, and the body iron parts, these all will be painted often. So this painting just to protect those iron articles from getting rust and even to make them good look. Okay, what happens when it is painted? So here this paint layer will act as a protective layer between the iron article and the oxygen. Oxygen cannot come and react with oxygen iron article further now. So it will act as a protective layer. In that way, rusting can be prevented by painting. Let us see one more method. Galvanizing. Galvanizing is the method by which iron objects are given a protective coating of zinc. Generally, water pipes are galvanized to protect them from rusting. They are known as galvanized iron pipes, GI pipes. Often in the market, you might have heard these words, GI pipes. GI pipes means galvanized iron pipes. Iron pipes are made and they will be coated with a thin layer of zinc. So the zinc will protect the iron from coming in contact with the air and moisture, so that iron will be prevented from getting rust. Okay, that coating of iron particles with thin layer of zinc is called galvanizing. This is one of the methods for protecting iron from rusting. One more, let us see here. Chromo-plating. It is also just like the galvanizing. In this, instead of zinc, they use chromium. It is a method by which a shiny layer of chromium is applied on the corroding object, like iron. It prevents the formation of rust and also makes the objects to shine. For example, taps, bicycle handles, and wheels, rims are plated with a coating of chromium. Our vehicles, you might have observed the parts of our motor vehicles and even bicycle handles. If you see them, they'll be very shiny, silvery shining will be there. That is because of the coating of those iron particles with chromium. So that thin layer of chromium will give good appearance. Not only that, it will protect the iron particle from coming in contact with the oxygen, so that rusting will be avoided. Okay, chromium plating is one of the methods. One more, alloying. Alloying means the mixing of two or more metals in the molten state is called alloying. So an alloy is a mixture of different metals. Iron becomes resistant to rust when alloyed with certain metals. Yes, iron will be generally alloyed with some other metals like nickel, chromium, and even some quantity of carbon also will be mixed. By mixing these all, iron becomes rustless. That is why it is called stainless steel. The alloy obtained from the iron which won't get rust is called stainless steel. I think you heard this word. Stainless steel rods are used for construction purpose. And even stainless steel tools are used at our homes also, like spoons, chalks, and these all. Scissors, these all are made up of stainless steel. What does it mean here? Stainless. Stain means rust. Stainless means rustless objects. So this steel is prepared from iron by mixing with some other metals like nickel, chromium, and one non-metal carbon. These all are mixed into the iron in the molten state. Thus, the formed material is called steel. So, steel is one of the alloys. Not only steel, there are some other examples for the alloys like bronze, brass. These also will come under alloys. So, alloying of this iron is mainly to avoid rusting. Okay, for example, stainless steel is an alloy of iron, chromium, and nickel, and it will not get rust. Okay, it will be rustless. That's why you say that stainless steel. Okay, they are the preventing methods for rusting. By this all, we can prevent rusting of iron articles. Okay, thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our YouTube channel Aims Today for latest updates on recorded videos.